what's going on, everybody? This is John Jake Gaming on the mic here, coming at you with a brand new episode of the NCSL Dynasty here exclusively on NCAA 14 and also exclusively with that college football revamp as well. We are closing in on yet another week of NCSL action, but we are here on the final stretch. And on this final stretch, we have critical games happening around the country. 16 nationally televised games that are going to be coming in your direction very shortly. But we have so much more than just that in this episode, and you're going to want to stay tuned for the entire thing. So, hope you guys do enjoy the content. If you do, I need you guys to go ahead and do me a massive favor. Hit that like button for me, as that does help me out with that treacherous YouTube algorithm. It helps me connect with other college football fans like yourselves. And if you love what you see on the channel as well, make sure you go ahead, hit that subscribe button on top of that. But with that being said, let's not waste any more moments. I'll see you guys on the football fields around this beautiful country. Let's go. So we will go ahead and get the week number 10 action officially underway, and we will get things started with 6 matchups happening in the 12:30 slate, including multiple top 25 teams that are getting ready to go to work. We'll get things started with Ohio State, the number 11 team in the nation. They'll go on the road to take on the Bobcats of Ohio in a critical Big Ten Conference matchup. Ohio State looking to solidify themselves within that Buckeye division, and they are trying to prove that, hey, that loss that they took earlier this year against Miami of Ohio, they're trying to prove that that was very much a fluke, because this offense is humming at an extremely high level right now, looking to put up a 21 piece here in this first half of action, as they already have yet another goal line opportunity. Brandon Burke's it's gonna be Brooks Hicks that's gonna keep it himself, and you will find the end zone. Touchdown for Ohio State, and the Buckeyes with a 21-0 lead. But the Ohio Bobcats, well, they certainly have a weapon or two of their own. It's Cody Dorsey, a dynamic quarterback for Ohio. He's closing in on nearly 800 yards on the ground this year. We'll see if he keeps it in his own hands for this first and goal, and he does. Dorsey will score himself. That'll be the 8th rushing touchdown of the season for Cody Dorsey, but not too much to smile about after that, as Ohio State pulls away with a big-time victory. Meanwhile, we got Virginia Tech taking on Boston College, and Boston College was able to do a lot outside of the red zone. So you would think with a 17-0 lead that Boston College is going to find a way to win this game. But when you do all of that in the first quarter, it gives their other team a chance to try to claw back into the game if they have the right mentality. And sure enough, it does seem like Virginia Tech does have that kind of mentality. After all, as Virginia Tech does score 10 unanswered points after going down initially 17-0, they'll even go ahead and add an extra field goal up onto the scoreboard as well. So Boston College threw a lot of punches in this game early on, but Virginia Tech, a team that is trying to compete for the ACC championship, well, they are hanging right around, and it does remain a one-score game for much of the second half. Boston College just cannot put them away, and Virginia Tech, they'll settle for a field goal with 4 minutes left to play in the game. They'll get it down to 4. But then a couple minutes later, after a critical turnover, Virginia Tech has a chance to take the lead, and they do with Ira Dixon. And Virginia Tech, after being down 17-0, storms back, and they're bowl eligible too. So how about that for an extraordinary comeback? But let's check in now on number 12 USC taking on Fresno State. And Fresno State has been pretty hot in the last couple of weeks. They're currently riding a 2-game winning streak, but this will certainly be a test not only against this USC team that is defending their national championship title, but on top of all of that as well, they are also a team that is trying to get back to the Pac-12 championship, and they got a clean open lane to do so, but can't take Fresno State lightly, as they're going to hand it off to their tailback, Matt Sullivan. It took a little bit longer to get into the end zone than you would think he would, but still ends up in 7 points either way, and USC with a dominating first quarter because of that. So Fresno State finally does get on the board, but USC continues its strong offensive performance again on the doorstep here in the red zone. Looking to try to punch it in on the ground. 2nd and goal. Tailback's going to take the handoff. It's going to be a run for Nick Richards, who finds his way in. Another touchdown for the Trojans. And unlike in real life, USC knows how to play defense, only holding Fresno State to 10 thus far. USC will expand their lead further, even will tack on a little bit of a field goal. Or that field goal could successfully be made, which it does there. So USC with convincing lead going into the final quarter of action. However, the Bulldogs will not go down quietly here in Fresno, California. Dropping back to the left-hand side and finds his receiver in the back of the end zone as Matthew Hayden does get his second passing touchdown of the day. But that is as close as Fresno State gets in the fourth quarter as Ben Scott leads a time-consuming drive that does lead to more points. And Fresno State could never recover as USC will continue their winning ways while Fresno State falls to 500. However, while we're thinking about those LA schools, we now check in on number 15, UCLA. Well, they find themselves on the road as well, staying in the state of California, playing in Palo Alto, California to take on this Stanford squad. The Cardinal was just ranked in the top 25, but after a disappointing loss last week to Fresno State, Stanford is once again unranked. So here we are, Stanford trying to come out and prove that that loss to Fresno State is also a little bit of a fluke, but a little bit down bad so far in this first quarter. They have yet to find any sort of offensive consistency. We're going to change that here in the second quarter as this quarterback faces pressure but still finds Ron Massey in the end zone. Touchdown, Stanford. And the Cardinal is right back in the game, but Brian Daniels will not allow that to happen for very long. How about this tailback staying on the feet, though? Oh, my. That was a dynamic run by the UCLA tailback. Leads to 7 points on the board, and just a deflating type of run for Stanford, because you had the man in the backfield, could not bring him down, though. And UCLA is starting to have its way on the ground. Both Brian Daniels and the rest of his backfield gashing Stanford in the red zone before Daniels is going to go ahead, keep it one last time. He'll get his first rushing touchdown of the day, and UCLA will further expand on their lead. But a couple of minutes later, though, Brian Daniels again has UCLA in the red zone. Stanford's just having a hard time finding anything on the defensive side. Jake Cook, well, he's certainly cooking right now. Already over 100 yards in this first half before Brian Daniels again dumps it off to his receiver. Picks up the first down, but not in the end zone. A fresh set of downs, though, for UCLA, as they're just going to go with the speed option for Jake Cook, who finds the end zone for the second time today. A little bit easier than his first initial score. And yet, here we are again. A couple of minutes later, another red zone opportunity for UCLA. I don't know how that's not intercepted, though. Sean Rivera, I thought he was going to be able to get that in, but that certainly didn't happen there. But Daniels again will throw over the middle. He's going to get it to Jeff Phillips for the first down, but UCLA only has one timeout to work with, so Brian Daniels will get his guys to the line quickly. Will they pass the ball? Yet again, it is going to be a pass. Daniels, time to throw, and finds Jeff Phillips again, this time in the back of the end zone, and UCLA is going to dominate the Cardinal 64-21, as them boys never look back. But we keep up with the top 25 teams around the country, and now we check in on number 6, Michigan. They're not the same cheaters as they are in real life. They're taking on Michigan State. Michigan State trying their best just to keep themselves in conversation for a bowl game. Certainly two programs that are going in opposite directions right now. And of course, this game is in Ann Arbor, so Michigan State certainly going to have its hands full as they have 8 guys in the box. But Michigan chooses to throw, and Fred Morris IV is going to be sacked in the backfield. Corey Lane, who is going to be credited with a sack, he will give his defense a little bit of breathing room. But a couple plays later, Fred Morris IV is going to find Jason Crenshaw for a critical touchdown. And Michigan gets their opening drive points, taking a 7-0 lead. Later on in the first quarter, Fred Morris IV again has the Wolverines in the red zone. We'll see if the Spartan defense can bend but not break this time around. They do have yet another 3rd down opportunity, but FM4 is going to throw a dot to his favorite receiver, Jason Crenshaw. He throws yet another touchdown, and it leads to just a dominating first half as the Wolverines will go into the locker room up 24-0 at the half. Nothing crazy happening in the second half as Michigan will remain undefeated for now. Now we go to Chapel Hill up in North Carolina. We got a little bit of a rivalry game on that Tobacco Road. North Carolina State taking on the Tar Heels. Got a little bit of a rainy day here in Chapel Hill, though, so maybe it could be a calm before the storm. It always has been the great equalizer, that good old-fashioned Mother Nature. North Carolina State is still in this game, only down 7-0, trying to throw down the field. I mean, his receiver did have a step, to be fair, but just underthrew his receiver, and that was the difference between a touchdown and a turnover. But North Carolina State still on the doorstep, though, as North Carolina cannot take advantage of the interception. So the Wolfpack are on the goal line yet again, looking for better results, and this time keeping it on the ground as Maurice Davis will score. Touchdown for the Wolfpack. So all knotted up at 7 apiece there as North Carolina trying to retake the lead. Danny Bates, no! Danny Bates will not have a passing touchdown there. Lester Estes could not get across the goal line. So the Wolfpack trying to get a goal line stand, but that will not be happening on this drive, though, as Danny Bates will find the end zone, but on the ground nonetheless. North Carolina has retaken the lead. Later on in the second quarter, North Carolina State trying to respond. They're going to run the speed option. Oh, to run inside, and basically untouched. The Wolfpack do answer back. And we have a little bit of an offensive showdown here in Chapel Hill. All of a sudden, North Carolina State looking to tie for game before we go into that halftime locker room. They're facing 4th down, though. They're going to grow some cojones and go for it. Looking to the left-hand side, and Ben Brown is going to come down with it. Incredible grab, and we have a fight to the finish. One that is actually going to take us into overtime. North Carolina will start with the first overtime opportunity, but North Carolina State is going to get an interception. So all the Wolfpack gotta do is get a field goal, and they're going to win the football game. And more importantly, get to 500. Even more importantly, beat their hated rivals as well, as they're going to set up for a nice little chip shot. This is to win the game. Just a 21-yard field goal attempt is good. North Carolina State is going to win, and they will take down their hated rivals 24-21 out on the Tobacco Road. But we will take some time now to take a look at some studio updates. And how about UNLV? They'll get back to 500 thanks to a 31-22 win. And then we also have an upset. Central Michigan takes down Iowa, courtesy of one of your custom players who absolutely do love to see that. That was Dylan Wiley, by the way, that ended up having that win for Central Michigan. Memphis also losing to Temple too, so that could shake up the top 25. And we still have a lot more games left to go. First, we will check in. No, we actually will check in on a different game. Thought we were going in a different direction. That's why you got to do that discount double check before we start with that commentary. This is the Battle of the Telephone Trophy. I believe that's what it's called. Not exactly sure if that's right. If you're familiar with this particular rivalry game, Let me know down in the comment section so you can keep me honest there. But Missouri was in a low-scoring battle in the snow out in Ames, Iowa, but they will still find a way to pull it out, though. And it certainly wasn't pretty either. Missouri will barely win. Now we'll check in on Texas. The number 3 Texas Longhorns taking on a winless Texas A&M team. The Aggies have been down horrendous, and they're going to have their hands full. They're going to need a lot of lucky breaks, frankly, if they're going to get their first win in this particular game. And Texas surely did come to play, already up 7-0. Running back is going to take it up the gut for Trey Dixon. Does cut it to the left-hand side for a few yards there. We'll see if they go back to Trey Dixon, and it looks like they will. He has a little bit bigger of a hole than last carry, and Trey Dixon now inside the 5-yard line. First and goal now for the Texas Longhorns. And why change something if it's not broken? Trey Dixon for the 3rd time, and well, 3rd time is the charm. Trey Dixon finds the end zone for the 2nd time today. But Texas A&M will answer back, so we still have a 1-possession game. However, this Texas running game has really been something else. Led by Trey Dixon, they nearly have 100 yards on the ground already. And Chase Ingram is a very capable quarterback. We might see it on this particular throw to the right-hand side. Julian Sanders will pick up some yardage, but will not add to the scoreboard, at least not yet. Couple plays later, Longhorns find themselves in a 3rd and goal. They go to the backup running back, David Massey. And Massey is going to mess up some points. Texas now with a 2-possession lead once again, as they have a 21-9 lead over Texas A&M. The Aggies were somehow able to get a safety. They are literally the Iowa of the west of the Mississippi River. Yeah, absolutely crazy of a score. A little bit of a sickos committee type of score, just seeing that safety up there. But Texas is driving yet again, though, facing 2nd and goal as they're going to hand it off to Trey Dixon. And Dixon is on absolute fire in the red zone. He cannot be stopped. He cannot be denied. And shoot, he might get it here yet again. Psych! It's Chase Ingram that is going to keep it instead. Texas pulling away from the Aggies of Texas A&M as the Longhorns win big here as well, 63-16. They were not messing around and finding out. So a few more games that we got going on here at the moment, most notably that Florida-Georgia game. Could have some implications out in the SEC, but we'll check on a couple of other games first before we get into that. Navy, unranked Navy, taking on the number 17 ranked Notre Dame Fighting Irish. And Zach Lever, Adam Parks, and the rest of this Navy team, the way that they came out firing in this game, they might have taken that a little bit personally, but Notre Dame is ranked in that top 20 for a reason. This is a very good football team. Greg Hunt makes sure that this Navy football squad remembers that. Matter of fact, late in the 1st quarter, Notre Dame has a chance to take the lead. And Mike Johnson will get him a little bit closer inside the 5-yard line. As we now look at a 2nd and goal situation. Going to hand it up the gut for Ben Bentley. And he is going to bend the Navy defense over on his way into the end zone. And Notre Dame will now have the lead. But how long will that last? Navy is putting together a drive themselves as the ball was on the ground. Did Navy recover that? I think they did. So here we go, 3rd and 17. Navy with the ball in their hands after they forced the turnover, and Notre Dame's going to get a safety. A safety of all things. That's crazy. And on that ensuing possession created thanks to that safety, they tack on a field goal. So Notre Dame with a 19-7 lead. But here comes Navy, only down by a few points now. Greg Hunt and company want some more points on the board, and they're going to get it. Touchdown, Notre Dame. And Greg Hunt is on fire tonight. 350 and 2 touchdowns as well. But Navy wants to answer back. They want a touchdown of their own. Beautifully set up. Halfback screen, and Austin Walden, he'll find his way into the end zone as well. And Adam Parks with that touchdown is going to set a school record for most passing touchdowns in a season. That was his 18th passing touchdown of the year. And more importantly, Navy's going to have the lead going into the fourth quarter. Notre Dame on possible upset alert right now. It's going to get pretty spicy here towards the end. 29 all. Parks is going to go ahead. He's going to hand it off to his fullback, Marquise Woodard. And Navy has the lead with 4:17 left. Matter of fact, the midshipmen have a chance to put this game away once and for all. And that could force Notre Dame to take their timeouts. They actually do run out of timeouts, so if they don't get this first down, it's over. But Adam Parks pitches it back, but doesn't realize who he was pitching to. And Notre Dame is going to take this all the way back. A 95-yard scoop and score. You cannot be serious right now. So Notre Dame, after a Navy punt, has a chance to win, but they get a little bit too aggressive. Really shocked that they didn't look at that play, though. Looks like the defender had his foot out of bounds for that play. So now Navy has a chance to win all of a sudden. It's been a back and forth affair all day long here in South Bend, Indiana. As it looks like Navy is going to try to run it down. Notre actually going to run a play. This will be the last play of regulation. And Austin Walden scores. Austin Walden is going to score. And Navy will shock Notre Dame 43-36. Navy should be earning themselves a ranking after this game. But now, speaking of those rivalry games, how about a chance to take a look at the Holy War between Utah and BYU? BYU actually 3-4, but it's Utah that's actually looking to be that representative for the Mountain West when it is time to make those selections for the college football playoff, a different playoff format than what you've seen in the first couple of years in the NCSL, to help create some make sure that regular season matters even more, as well as those conference championship weekends having some additional meaning to them as well. Utah is going to have a 7-3 lead going into late in the first quarter, as this quarterback is going to scramble for the Utes, and this quarterback does a nice job of protecting his body there. He's going to slide down for a little 5-yard gain there, as Bradford finds himself in the shotgun, looking around. He's got some time to throw over the middle of the field, and it's going to be a first down for the Utes of Utah. Bryson Colbert with the first and goal opportunity. As now, first and goal happening once again as Utah looking for the end zone, and they're going to get it. Nate Harden all by himself. He's got significant separation there. So Utah expands their lead before BYU answers back. Not completely, just kind of a half-hearted answer there. They'll get a field goal up on the scoreboard, but they got to stop this Utah offense, so who is really starting to find the rhythm. Bradford looks over the middle of the field. He's got a receiver. This is going to be a first down and more for Bryson Culver. Culver having a nice first half, closing in on 60 receiving yards in the first half of action. As a couple of plays later, Bradford again drops back, but is going to keep it on the ground himself. Bradford is going to find the end zone. Touchdown, Utah. And the Utes expand their lead here in the Holy War. One that BYU is just looking a little bit outmatched here in this first half of actions. That 21-9 score is what you will see going into the halftime locker room. And here's the crazy part of all of this too. Utah gets the ball to start the second half as well. And Willie Bradford, well, he is simply built Ford tough. He is an absolutely tough dude for sure. Empowering Utah to an even bigger lead. And BYU, I mean, BYU is getting red zone opportunities. It's not like they don't have their fair shot of chances to get touchdowns and get points on the board. But unlike Utah, BYU has to settle for field goals. And that's really the difference in this game overall, is that Utah made more outdoor opportunities, and they're officially going to be bowl eligible, looking for more. Now we get into the world's biggest cocktail party happening down in Jacksonville, Florida. We got the Florida Gators taking on the Georgia Bulldogs. Georgia coming in ranked number 8 in the entire country. They got a pretty sizable lead in the Peach Division. Whereas for the Sunshine Division, Florida hanging around. They did lose to Miami earlier this year. So, that being said, Florida needs to win this game and get a little bit of help if they want to clinch the Sunshine Division. However, Florida, they're not going to worry about what's happening later on in this episode. They're just going to worry about themselves for the time being. And they're going to start with a Florida touchdown with their fullback, of all people, and it actually takes a little bit for Georgia to respond, but when they do, it's going to be a loud response. So Sean Garcia wanted a touchdown, and he is going to get it. Touchdown, Georgia, the number 8 ranked team in the entire country. They are going to nod things up against the Florida Gators in this neutral sign matchup. So, late in the second quarter, Georgia has a chance to take their first lead, and they will with Jared Presley. How about this? We get 2 touchdowns from the fullback position today. Who would have thought, right? Great time to be a fullback in the NCSL, I guess, as Georgia will have the lead going into the locker room, and late in the third quarter, with this big throw to Sean Garcia, who's going to be living in the nightmares of this Florida defensive coordinator no matter what, Georgia looks like they are in a prime position to finish this game out and just continue their stranglehold over the Peach Division as they're trying to get to the SEC Championship and possibly host the SEC Championship as well. However, Florida not giving up, down by 11. 6 minutes left to play. We got a screen over to the right-hand side. Could go for a big gain, and it does. Huge first down for the Florida Gators as Scott Flores gets the Gators into the goal line, but they are not settling for free. They want a touchdown, trying to run it with their wide receiver, Spencer Willis, who wills his way into the end zone. Touchdown, Florida. And I imagine they'll go for the 2-point conversion as well. 4:28 left to play. This would make it just a field goal game, and he gets it. He just barely gets it. So now Georgia, they're going to need a few more points to put Florida away, but it backfires horribly. Oh no, Florida might return this all the way back on their way to possibly take the lead. And after a couple of broken tackles, Kelvin Silva will find the end zone for the Florida Gators. Oh my goodness, we got a huge shocker on the way here. Possibly, we've already seen an upset or two happen here today, and it looks like it might continue there as Kelvin Silva's play is going to be the ultimate difference. Florida is going to beat Georgia in the world's largest cocktail party. The Gators will get to 8-2, while Georgia will drop their second game. So we now keep it down in that southeastern part of the country as number 23 Arkansas, they go on the road to take on the unranked Auburn Tigers. And this has been a very defensive affair between Arkansas and Auburn. Haven't even so much as seen a touchdown happen in the game, but we do see Derek Alexander break a school record though. He has the most career passing yards in Auburn history, the first ever Auburn quarterback with more than 10,000 passing yards. Wow, that is an incredible achievement. We'll see if it leads to points for Auburn down the other way. And Derek Alexander and company does have Auburn in the red zone. But can they finish the drive here in the red zone? Alexander looking to the right-hand side, trying to set up the screen. It's going to be intercepted down the sideline. Can anyone catch him? He might be gone, and he is! Touchdown, Arkansas, and Dan Cooper gives the Razorbacks the lead. As we now go into that second half of action now, Arkansas does tack on a field goal. And after a quiet fourth quarter, Auburn still has a chance to win this game with 90 seconds left, and Derek Alexander is going to connect with Kyle Berry, and with one toss, he'll give Auburn the lead, and Auburn will end up pulling an upset here as well against number 23 Arkansas in a defensive struggle, 13-10. But we do have some more studio updates coming your way. And how about Tulane? a week after falling out of the top 25. They stun the number 5 ranked Ragin' Cajuns. The Ragin' Cajuns lose their first game of the year, 28-19. So I would imagine that Tulane would be right back into the top 25 after this particular win right here. Good win for the Green Wave, by the way. And then also Tennessee got a close one against Mid-Tennessee State, 37-35. The Volunteers, well, they have 3 losses, none of them happening in MACtion thus far. So Tennessee controls their own destiny to get to the MAC championship at the end of the year. But we'll get away from that for a quick second as we have a couple of more games coming up. We got San Jose State, a good team that maybe isn't getting quite the recognition that they deserve. Well, they're taking on number 14 LSU, and the Spartans came to play ball. We played almost a full quarter. We actually do make it through a full quarter, and LSU is still tied with San Jose State, okay? So Spartans did come and play some quality ball, but LSU will eventually find the end zone. Derek Brown will scamper it into the end zone there, as San Jose State will answer back with a long, methodical drive themselves. But it's a long, methodical drive that ends in a field goal, though. So San Jose State is still down by a few points, as Derek Brown will try to make sure that this lead is going to grow. But instead, they might lose the lead instead. Derek Brown is going to throw a pick 6. Michael Clay gives San Jose State the lead. So the Spartans actually had a lead. They don't hold on to it forever. But needless to say, it's still a close game. Going into the fourth quarter, only a 4-point difference. LSU in the red zone, looking to put San Jose State away. Brown is able to evade the first pressure, but cannot get rid of the ball in time, as Antonio McNair able to sack this quarterback. So now with 2nd and long coming up, as they're going to just hand it off down the middle for their tailback, and he'll pick up most of the sack yardage. Sean Callahan been busy today. That was his 30th touch of the day. He won't get a 31st touch, at least on this drive, though, because Brown instead is going to find Darius Brewer in the end zone. Touchdown, LSU. It was an ugly day for Derek Brewer, but when it matters most, Derek Brown is going to get his guys over the top, and Sean Callahan is going to get that fat lady singing as well. So tough game here for San Jose State as they dropped their 4th one, but LSU, able to ride the first half struggles and find a way to win. Meanwhile, a critical matchup out in the Conference USA, as the Syracuse Orange will actually be hosting this Penn State squad that is having quite the down year, sitting at 500 just a year after they made it into the college football playoff as the chief representative of Conference USA, as Syracuse actually gets off to a hot start. Matter of fact, both offenses actually do look pretty well here in this first quarter, because Penn State, after Syracuse's 2nd touchdown, they march right down the field themselves, and Penn State scores 2. Corey Carter finds the end zone, and you think this is going to turn into some kind of shootout, but that doesn't completely happen. It seems like after the first quarter, the scoring in this game just seems to dramatically slow down, as now we're looking at a 3rd and 6. Looking to drop back the throw, looking over to the left-hand side. He's got his running back down the sideline as Corey Carter picks up the first down, as Penn State looks to try to retake the lead. As now Williams looks again over to the left-hand side. He's got a wide open receiver. Is he going to punch it in? Yes, sir. Jay-Sean Smith with the connection from Daniel Williams. Touchdown, Nittany Lions. But Syracuse will answer with points of their own, and we're going to be tied in the half. Could be in for a very exciting second half of action, as both teams are just trading punches between each other right now. Syracuse will take the lead with 2:53 left in the third quarter, but in the closing moments of the game, Penn State's got a chance to take the lead. Williams, he's going to keep it himself. He's going to plow his way forward inside the 10-yard line, and it sets up an eventual 1st and goal for the Nittany Lions to take the lead, and they will, with Corey Shelby Touchdown for Penn State, and the Nittany Lions never looked back after that. They will win a close one against the Syracuse Orange to get back to above 500. So a couple more games left in this episode. Miami and Florida State, that is actually where College Game Day went. So our NCSL game of the week right there. But first, a little bit of an appetizer. We got some more SEC action. Georgia Tech hosting the winless Panthers of Georgia State. Georgia Tech looking like a team that could be ranked in the top 25 at some point and could give Georgia a little bit of trouble in that battle of good old-fashioned hate. But Georgia State is tired of the disrespect. Jeff Waddle, no relation to the other Waddle that plays for the Miami Dolphins. He'll cut it to a one-score game briefly, but Georgia Tech just has Georgia State numbered, it seems like, in this battle of two college teams sharing the city of hot Atlanta. And the Georgia Tech offense, well, they're going to embody that hot Atlanta mentality as they're going to get hot in the first half. Georgia Tech will expand their lead 24-7. And the Panthers, well, they can't get hot back as we're going to continue to see this lead grow and possibly grow a little bit more. Handed it off. I mean, Georgia State had this dude in the backfield, but David Garcia just kept those feet turning and turns nothing into something. Actually turns that into a decent gain there. So now Georgia Tech with a chance to convert this second down, and Corey Wright comes back and makes a great play on the ball. Georgia Tech dominates, winning by 30, and I would not be surprised to see Georgia Tech reign that top 25 when the dust settles. But finally, we have ourselves the NCSL Game of the Week. Number 2 Miami going on the road and taking on the number 4 ranked Florida State Seminoles. Two teams that are undefeated, and the winner will control their destiny in the Sunshine Division, possibly hosting the SEC Championship as well. It just means more, and you can see how much it means to these both two teams as we can start with a big play. Jabari Larkin with a 42-yard reception. The big play eventually setting up a 45-yard field goal attempt to get Florida State on the board first. The field goal is up, and it's going to be good. So Florida State with a 3-0 lead as Miami still looking for their first points of the game. Marcus Amos, we're going to change that. Wide, butt naked open. He's going to be gone like a girl in a country song. Touchdown, Miami. And the Hurricanes, they will instantly come out and they will retake the lead. 7-3 will be your score. And that was the only scoring that we thought that we were going to see. But then Marcus Amos, he has a Hail Mary. He's going to chalk it up, and it's caught. Breaks a tackle, and Kyle Branch is going to score. These Hail Marys never work in a CPU matchup, at least in college football Revamp. But you know what? There's a first for everything, though. Just looks like Miami had more bodies down there than Florida State did. And Branch, did the rest, able to break that tackle. So Miami with a little bit of commanding lead and the ball to start the second half as well. As Amos will take advantage. He's going to get out of this pocket. Amos able to get away from some defenders. Now it's a foot race down the sideline. Amos with one person. The beat can't beat him, but Amos is going to be brought down inside the 5-yard line. Amos has over 100 yards rushing. He has been a certified problem today as Amos will finish the drive off by handing it off to Caleb Kirk for the touchdown. Miami with an exciting lead of 21-3. So if Florida State wants to remain in this game, they're going to need some points, and they're going to need them stat. This could help them downfield. It's going to be a connection to Eric Bracken for a 47-yard scamper, and the Seminoles are officially back in business. So much so is that they find themselves back in the red zone, looking to finish with points on the board, and Ty Gold gets it done. Florida State is going to close in. They're going to need this FCS transfer in Daryl Boniford, the former quarterback out of, we're going to try to do a discount double check, out of Nicholls State, a military academy. Now Daryl Bonford on the biggest stage. And just as we thought we were going to see Florida State trying to claw back in the game, Miami is going to force a fumble. And that is all she wrote. Miami is going to beat Florida State in the Battle of the War Canoe 24-10. And the Hurricanes now control their own destiny to host the SEC Championship. So that was an exciting finish to the gameplay in this episode, but now we take a look around the country to see what else of note has happened over the course of week number 10. How about the Army Black Knights continuing their unbeaten streak, now up to number 4 in the entire country after a 42-17 win against Air Force. This is going to give them the Commanders Cup title against Air Force and Navy, and Army controls their own destiny as well to make the college football playoff. But how about this for a big time surprise? Troy goes on the road and knocks down Ole Miss 34-30. The loss was so bad that Ole Miss leaves the top 25 completely. This is a shocking turn of events for sure, and it's looking very likely that the Rebels will miss the college football playoff here in year number 3. In other news, Wyoming is able to get their 4th win in the season as Remy Natalius' offense, well, they were humming at a high level. 59 points being your final scores. Wyoming wins by 30 plus. They take on USC in the next episode. Don't need that offense for that. And then, of course, Nebraska continues to handle their business as well as George Gentry continues to guide the Nebraska offense. They win 31-10, and the Cornhuskers, after starting 0-2, they're all of a sudden on a 7-game winning streak as of right now. Meanwhile, for the Rice Owls, they will get themselves back into the top 25 after a 1-week hiatus. This score was not as close as maybe what the score would have indicated. UTSA scored all of their points in the 4th quarter, but Rice was in control the entire time in this 24-14 victory. As for the Golden Bears of California, they continue their winning ways, winning 49-24 as they continue to climb within that top 10. Oregon State is still looking for their first win in Pac-12 conference play as the Oregon Ducks are 0-4 within the Pac-12 conference. As for Southern Miss, they're able to win convincingly against Arkansas State 49-21, and Southern Miss does actually stay in the top 25 for more than 1 week at a time. They win this game by 28 points as Southern Miss is on the verge of bowl eligibility. As for the Rainbow Warriors, they were on a little bit of a 2-game losing streak, but they finally snapped that losing streak by blowing out Washington State 44-10. The Rainbow Warriors of Hawaii, for the 2nd year in a row, well, they will be bowl eligible here in year number 3. However, going back to the SEC, in that Peach Division specifically, Georgia Southern improves their standing significantly, finally getting their first conference win in emphatic fashion, actually, blowing out Coastal Carolina 38-7. Georgia Southern is also back to 500 overall on the year. And finally, we had a shootout in Charlotte, North Carolina, but only one team was able to come out on top. The Clemson Tigers, they were fighting for their life, but led by their custom quarterback, Nakamura was able to lead Clemson over the top eventually. A gut-wrenching 42-35 win for the Tigers as they are 3-1 in ACC conference play thanks to this victory. So because of a few upsets that we saw around the country, we did end up seeing quite a few shakeups. Let's start at the very top and work our way down. Army moves up 3 spots because of a convincing win against Air Force, plus it helps that they still remain undefeated on the year. Cal, they cement themselves as the best one-loss team in America right now. They're up to number 6 in the country. They'll be taking on Oregon in week number 11. Florida State, meanwhile, they don't fall too dramatically. They did lose to Miami, but Miami's the number 1 team in the country, so, no punishment for Florida State. Bama was on bye. They move up a couple of spots. Ohio State and USC also moving up a couple of spots, and that will cement your top 10 for right now. Now, outside of the top 10, however, you got the Raging Cajuns down to number 11 after they suffered their first loss of the season. And now we get into those 2-loss teams here. LSU at number 12 in the country as of right now. They'll actually have a big game next week against Alabama. UCLA, they'll be taking on Hawaii. That should be a fun top 25 matchup in the, I believe that might be in Oahu. I'm not so sure about that. We'll have to do a discount double check for the next episode. Georgia, they fall 6 spots after they lose their second game of the year, but thankfully the Peach Division is not very good. Florida is still behind Georgia, even though Florida was able to beat Georgia on a neutral site field, so a little bit of favoritism towards the Gators in that regard. We talked about Hawaii, and Hawaii did move up 3 spots. Clemson moved up 3 spots as well. Missouri barely beat Iowa State, but because of the action around them, they move up 3 spots because of that. And rounding out your top 25, you got Tulane at 20. Notre Dame, who's still hanging around, they're at number 21. Southern Miss up 3 spots to number 22. And rounding out your group is Navy at 23. Rice back in at number 24. And the Tennessee Volunteers are in at number 25 in the entire country. So it's been an interesting episode, to say the least. We saw some teams, some surprising teams get upset over the course of this week. Last month of the season, at least within the game. Does that mean that we do go ahead and start seeing some chaos? We'll have to wait and see what happens, but hope you enjoyed this episode. Either way, it was certainly a fun one, and I hope you guys enjoyed as well. If you did, make sure you go ahead, smack that like button for me. Hit that subscribe button as well if you have to be brand new to the channel and love what you see. This is John J Gaming on the mic signing off, but hoping you guys are all out there having a good one. Take care, everybody.